information came out about who was funding the Proud Boys. And this information that, was released off of a hack became very interesting, especially when we've been hearing all of, the Stop Asian Hate and, all black people are literally being, anointed as people just attacking Asians, which we know that's a bold-faced lie. It's a lie from the pit of hell. And we know when the white supremacists speak, they're lying. We know this because black folks say, who's attacking Asians like that? And we know it's just happening in New York and in San Francisco area, especially in New York. It's literally they're not brothers and sisters from America. They're immigrants. They're wearing red, pink hoodies. They're doing it right in front of cameras. It's like 4K, like, oh, let me go do this. They're wearing hats. It's like it's quite obvious that these people, and we know from history that people have been paid to do things like this. We know this. We know. So with this information that came out, they talked about how the Proud Boys had a lot of funding from Chinese people coming from, they say in this country. And they said about 80% of the funds raised from the members of the Proud Boys who were injured during the violent Washington, D.C. clashes in December came from them. So they said that in total, they said gifts from the Chinese diaspora, they said, which began pouring in through Give, Send, Go fundraising website on December 17th, amounted to $86,000 of the $106,107 in donations raised to cover medical costs of members of the white supremacist street gang. Okay. So they say on December 13th, after they say protesters took over the streets of Washington as they refused to accept the results, they say, of the presidential election at the time, they say 4 people were stabbed near Harry's Bar as a popular hangout for the white supremacist group Proud Boys as they clashed with Antifa counter protesters. So on December 17th, they say a donor named Li Zhang, they said, gave $100 to the Proud Boys before Hao Zhu gave $20, they say, which was followed by Ying Pei's $25 donation. They say messages left by those who donated, they say, also provided insight about why members of the Chinese diaspora, they say, would offer financial support to the all-male organization formed in 2016. One of them said, you have to understand how we feel. We came from communist China and we managed to come here and appreciate it here so much. They will say about a Rebecca Kwan that gave $500 to the Proud Boys on Christmas Day. They said the Proud Boys are for Trump and they're fighting Antifa. They're saying, can you see anything good that Antifa did except destroy department stores and small businesses? Another one said that the Proud Boys are protecting the innocent people. Donald Wayne of Queens, New York said this. They say a lot of people in my community support them, and he gave them $50. Another one says, thank you for your courage to fight for our freedom. Old Lou, it said, who wrote after donating $30. Now, this is a thing here. Let me look at another one here. Thank you, Proud Boys. You are my heroes, wrote Nancy Chang, who sent $300 the day before the riots. Okay. So is it individuals that's funding the Proud Boys, or is it the Chinese Communist Party funding the Proud Boys to keep dissension and keep, the country, always fighting each other at rest? They know they're white supremacist groups, because anyone knows that America will fall from within, not just really an all-out military attack. We all know racism and white supremacy is the Achilles heel of America. But as you've seen, whether they are individuals or a part of the Chinese Communist Party, we don't actually know fully. But what we do know is this. When, a lot of times the conversation comes out about immigrants, usually it's talked about people south of the border coming in, or the conversation has been, when someone who comes from a different, black country starts siding with the white supremacists. Then the conversation comes out about immigrants. Okay. My thing is, what I don't understand is, how can a Chinese side with a white supremacist when you understand their history? And we talked about that on this channel. But some of them feel, well, you know what? I want to be with the white supremacist. That's fine. Okay. Well, black folks was talking about this. We knew how you felt about black people. We saw how many times you were attacking black women in these nail shops and beauty supply stores. And nobody came out with a bill about protecting black people. Notice that no feminist groups came out talking about it's an attack on women when all these black women are constantly attacked. When Breonna Taylor was killed, there was no mention about an attack on women. When Sandra Bland was killed, no attack on women. When Corinne Gaines was killed, nothing about an attack on women. I want black women to notice that when you trying to join with your Mzungu friends talking about you are a feminist. They are opportunists that use you. That's what they are. But when something happened to you, they do not care. But as you can see, there's financially, listen, 80% of the money that came to the Proud Boys wasn't even by their own. It was by Chinese in this country. And this is why when we talk to black folks, and we talked especially on that continent, we tell you so many times to get your leaders in order. Don't let them come and colonize the continent. Some of you look at us and say, oh, some of y'all just, you're so wound up with racism. And we listen, we know colonization, we see it. They're clearly trying to follow the American model or the white supremacist model, okay? Colonizing. Do you know on the west coast of Africa that the Chinese is trying to put a Navy base there? They're talking to many nations like Angola. They're talking to Mauritania, all these different countries they're talking to try to get a base put. Why do they need a base on the coast of West Africa? If anybody need a base, those African nations need a Navy base there. This is what they're trying to do. They come in with their debt trap diplomacy, all the things that they're doing in the continent of Africa. And I'm telling you on the continent, because see, I'm not your leader. Because if I was your leader, that wouldn't go down. But what I'm telling the people to do at the grassroots level is stop that from happening. And another thing I'm telling you to do, because this is not just an American issue, it's a Caribbean issue, it's an African continent issue too. I covered a story in Trinidad saying how they doing all kind of things in Trinidad too. They don't have no business, right? Another brother, Jamaica, send me videos. People send me everywhere they're going. They're trying to pull the same stunts. That's with this anti-black behavior. Don't let them take over the Caribbean or the continent of Africa. And I mean nobody. I mean not the Chinese, not the Mzungu, not the Lebanese, not the Indian, not nobody. All that belongs to black people. And unfortunately, I've heard conversations where some, and I will say, yes, some, are having what I call low-hanging fruit conversations, acting like people coming in from, different countries in the diaspora, all of a sudden it could be a threat to you when them folks are literally trying to build a military base. The diaspora is not trying to build no military base. We're not trying to put your countries in debt to us. Let me make that clear. And you may say, where's this coming from? It's coming from a place, and I can get to that in another video. But what I'm saying is, because some people are very threatened about the diaspora coming in. Some of them are. Believe it or not, some of them are. But what I'm telling you is that Chinese that's coming in, he's not trying to come there for a return home. He coming in to take over and dominate. That's what he's trying to do. But you don't say nothing. You some of you are saying something about it. Let me not say not you. I'm not brushing nothing on what my brothers and sisters are saying on the continent. I'm not. But I'm saying those who are making these comments, you better get them out your back land because black Americans or any other diaspora talking about residency, citizenship, at least we're talking about trying to do things the right way. They're coming in doing things illegal in your countries. Okay. Got this attitude they got here supporting white supremacist groups here in America. Understand? And they treating y'all any kind of way on the continent in the Caribbean. I've done the videos. They've been numerous. They come in, they don't respect your laws. They try to backdoor and bribe your politicians, which have been caught, and taking your resources and shipping it back to their country, and you're not getting a dime out of it. So those who are having this conversation miss me with that when you have to deal with them first and your leaders first who's selling you out. There's many on the continent that get it. There's many on the continent that's ready to take over the continent, ready to get everybody out. That's the people I speak to on the continent. I don't deal with the low-hanging fruit. I deal with those people who get it. Just like we got low-hanging fruit that have certain conversations here too. I only deal with those who get it. We ain't got time to be saving nobody. In the continent, the Caribbean, the Americas, we ain't got time for that. The black folks in Europe, in Asia, and other places, we ain't got time. The time has got too short. I've been learned that they have this strong anti-black attitude. And it goes everywhere. And tell me if I'm lying. I'm not saying every person do. No, I'm not saying every person. But I'm saying this, the moves that we're seeing, supporting the Proud Boys, out here doing what you're doing in the continent of Africa, what you're doing in the Caribbean. And the reason why many of them don't want the diaspora to come back to the continent of Africa, because they know we see them. We already seen that already with the white supremacists. So we know how to point them out and point and say, hey, this is what they're doing. Put an end to it now. And brothers and sisters are taking a stand on the continent. Yes, they are. I'm not saying they're not. Just recently in Gambia, they burned down the Chinese factory because they were doing some foul things in the Gambia. So trust me, brothers and sisters, when they get pissed, it's on. What I'm saying is don't even let it get to that point, because they're not coming in to share with you or be a friend to you. We will be a friend to you. Let's connect, you know, brothers and sisters in the diaspora, those who want to the Caribbean, to the continent. Let's connect. Let's partner on things. Because we know any other group that's coming in outside of your people, outside of them, you got to give them the side eye. You got to say, why are you coming over here for? Why you ain't over there doing what you got to do? Why are you here? Like I said, I know you're not here to benefit me, so why are you here? You got to know. You got to ask them questions. Because a lot of brothers and sisters, and what's happening in this country, see, we've been doing this anti-black behavior. That's why a lot of brothers and sisters say, yeah, I'm cool on, I'm not supporting their businesses. I'm cool. Unless I know them personally and I know they're not they are not racist, that may be a little different. But I'm cool. As black people worldwide, we got to pay attention to this. Remember, they were throwing Africans on the streets, blaming you for COVID. Blaming you. Remember? Don't never forget that, brothers and sisters on the African continent. And then in this country, they were getting mad that black folks stopped going and eating their food and different things like that. Getting mad, like they demanding like we losing money. Well, black people lost money in COVID too. I want to know what's going to be the response for supporting the Proud Boys here. That's what I want to know. And remember, 80% of the money that went to the Proud Boys didn't come from white supremacists. Didn't come from black folks. It came from people, like I said, they could be citizens. They could be part of the CCP. We don't know. But I'm just bringing you the news to tell you to wake yourself up. You know, they say stop Asian hate, but then you got this going on. But leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this particular story. I mean, like I said, am I surprised? No, because I'm always got my eyes open, always paying attention to international affairs. That's why I'm not really shocked by any of this. But some of you that maybe could be shocked by this or didn't realize this was going on about the anti-black behavior. And, you know, there are many Asian people that talked about the anti-blackness in their communities. They talked about it. So it's not all Asian people that's on that all Chinese people are on that. I'm not saying that they are. Many of them have came out and talked about it and say, well, that's that older generation. It's not us. I'm not even talking about the generation. That's something they got to fix. But what I'm telling black folks is Dr. John Henry Clark told us that we need to unify globally. He told us before he died, you got to unify. You got to work with each other. And he also said we have no friends. In search of a financial opportunity to pay off student loans, a young black American woman moves to South Korea to work. As the author, Bootsy W. recalls culture shock and fun adventures in a country far from home. She's also faced with anti-black racism and featureism, quickly learning that white supremacy is practiced not only by whites, but by those that are categorized as people of color. Based on her 10 years of living abroad, the book, Ago Igo, compares and contrasts Korea versus the United States on subjects such as code, communal living, racism, effective protests, global alliances, warrior class, music, political correctness, health, aging, money, and the coronavirus. This blunt memoir is uncomfortable, humorous, and educational. Help fight propaganda and mainstream agendas by picking up a copy of Ago Igo on Amazon.com. Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the African Diaspora News Channel app in the Google Play and Apple App Store.